Good morning, guys. Welcome to my latest video. It's August 1st, so it's an update video, and it's packed with stuff. I didn't think I got a lot done in July because I went to Clayfest for a week. So I was in the UK, I was gone. I didn't even put out a video that week, so I've been playing catch up on the videos so far since I've been back. And actually, it feels like all I've been doing lately since I got back was making videos. And I love it. It's great, but it is a lot of work doing these videos, and it takes away from the actual work I do on my place. So I'm going to be trying to find a nice balance between video making and working, but it is tricky. And one thing I was wondering is whether or not you guys out there who watch my videos regularly think a Patreon account is a good idea. Maybe it's something like $2, €2 a month, and that gives access to ad-free videos or something along those lines. I don't think I have time to do extra content yet until I get a better phone, because the one I have is crappy and doing them on a GoPro would just be annoying. But I do feel like maybe offering videos ad-free could make it worthwhile for some people out there who want to support me, give me a bit of a regular base income, and do it for a really low price. So if you think this is a good idea, if you think you're somebody who might subscribe, €2, something like that, for ad-free videos, and possibly in the future I might do extra content for a higher price. I sort of feel a little icky about having separate content for people that can afford to pay for it versus people that watch the videos on YouTube. I don't know how that makes me feel. Let me know how it makes you feel. Please do tell me, because having a bit of a steady monthly income would take the pressure off making videos and allow me to spend more time actually doing the work and less time editing. And with that stuff in mind, while I'm at it, talking about money stuff, I've got a PayPal link below if you want to support the channel, and there's also a super thanks button. And I recently also added an Amazon wish list down there in the description below. So if any of that stuff's interesting to you, take a look, give that little extra bit of support, and know that it's very much appreciated. As is just watching the videos, especially watching the ads through to the end. That really helps me out as well. So I'm trying to find a nice balance of income and earnings and work on the land, and it's tricky. I'm just about there, but it's often a struggle trying to get the videos out and trying to balance out what I earn with what I spend on the projects as well. So that's enough of that. Let's get into the work that I did in July. And like I said, I was surprised. It was a bunch more stuff than I thought I got done. And it started with battling the ants and the heat. I was raging against the elements, and it probably seems weird that I put fighting ants on my list of things that I did, but honestly, I spent so much time keeping these ants out of my house. I set up some kind of crazy voodoo-like thing on the front porch with bay leaves and cinnamon and cayenne pepper and all of the things. Vinegar, I think I squirted everywhere, and all of the things that people advise that I try. And I don't know if it worked, but the good news is they've gone away. So after also chomping on my feet outside as I tried to work under the fig tree, they've left me. So maybe ant season is over, but really I spent loads of time trying to work around them or trying to keep them out of my house. And I also have been battling the heat. It's been very hot this month. I spent some time at the lake. I've been in the pool a whole bunch, and it's been hot, but wonderful to have that splash pool, and really nice to be able to get out to the lake, see some friends, and just chill out from time to time when I find the time. Finished the compost toilet. This was a massive job that I started ages ago, and early in the month, Sinead came to the rescue. She helped me out for an afternoon, and we basically just bashed it out, finished the frame, taped on the tarp, got the roof on there, and now my compost toilet lives outside the house, which is amazing because up until now it's been inside the house with me, which is kind of ridiculous, and my house is small. The compost toilet is kind of big and bulky, and you know, it's kind of gross having a compost toilet in your tiny house right next to your bed. So it's really great to have it outside, and I'm very pleased with that project and how it turned out as well. Sinead's wonderful to work with. I'm very happy to have her here. She's been here for a couple months now, and we are really settling into the groove. She does stuff on her land. I do stuff here. We come together for meals, coffee in the morning, and we help each other when we can as well. So it's been a lovely balance, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds. The tool shed foundation is underway. The weather is insane. Today is going to be a positively frigid 35 degrees as opposed to the usual high 30s or 40 degrees we've had. And then next week we have a serious heat wave of 40s across the board for the whole week, and that's going to be terrible. But the mornings, believe it or not, are actually quite nice, and so I've been getting up early for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and pushing ahead on the tool shed foundation. I also had a little flurry of activity early in the month where I put some of the cornerstones in place, leveled them off, got them limed into place, and that gives me a nice base to start from, and I've been building on from that. So progress is slow, but progress is being made. Prepped tool shed timber. I'm going to do a timber frame for the tool shed. Total overkill, but I want to learn more about timber framing. I want to practice more, and I love how it looks. And I don't just want to make a tool shed utility room to hold stuff. I want to make something beautiful, and I want to challenge myself, and I want to learn new skills in the process. So I've got loads of timber to plane and to square off, and I did a little bit of that already this month. Strimmed, I did a lot of strimming. The grass has been growing. We've had some freak storms, which has meant the grass has been growing more than expected, so it's been more strimming. But it also means that forest fire risks are lower, and so far so good. We haven't had anything too bad in this region in Portugal. I feel like I need to knock on some wood. I'll do that a little later. But it's been good so far, and I think that's due to the storms, but that's meant more strimming. And so I've done a lot of that this month as well. Put up a new polytunnel. I got a second polytunnel for down in the garden. It's been great to take some of the garden stuff out of my top polytunnel, which is a cluttery nightmare, and put it down there in that garden focused tunnel where I've got just everything to do with the garden down there. And then in the winter, I'm going to use that for my pepper plants. I might move my bananas down there, and maybe a few other more sensitive plants as well, and have that as my overwintering greenhouse. So it's been really great to get that up, and it's in a great spot, super sturdy, and I'm very happy with it. Sinead, as you saw in the last video, click up here if you haven't seen it, it's a good one, has just had her yurt go up, but there was loads of prep to do to make the deck, and she and I did some of the work on that ourselves, including sanding the top of it. It was actually really fun. We came back from somewhere one evening and just got into it until the sun went down, sanding, drinking some beers, having the chats, and it was just lovely. It was a lovely evening, and it's great to help her out where I can. And the floor looks really great. She went with kind of an alternative idea of just sanding and varnishing OSB board just to see what it looks like, and I think she's made the right choice. She likes it, and the sanding just made everything nice and smooth and lovely to walk on. If she changes her mind in the future, she can stick something else on top of that. But for the moment, it's a lovely floor, and I'm happy I was able to help her out with that. Made plum sauce. My friend Kimberly came over. You probably know her if you watch my videos from other cooking adventures, making lots of different things, going to the lake, stuff like that. And she came over to make some plum sauce. We had some laughs. We cooked up the sauce and had a really good time in the process. And it's delicious. Processing food is very time consuming, but when you have a friend come over and help and choose some recipes and guide you through the process because she's done it before, it makes everything a lot more fun. Sharing the work and just having a good time as you do it. And then I'll share the sauce obviously with her as well. So win-win-win. It was lots of fun, lots of sauce, and I'm sure you'll see her again in the future for some other processing video that I haven't thought of yet, but there's lots of things coming good in the garden. I've got loads of limes on lime trees, so lime pickle will be coming up at some point, and if you have any other ideas for things you'd like to see me make, especially with tomatoes, do let me know. I'm in the market for a good tomato chutney recipe. I've tried it 3 times now, and it's never been as good as what my friend makes. It's always too runny and too sweet and not spicy enough. So if anyone out there has a vinegary, spicy, not too sweet tomato chutney recipe, please leave it for me in the comments and I will make it on camera. Replaced and moved a fridge. My fridge broke, which is very annoying. It's been on the outs for a couple of months, actually since my parents were here back in May, and it finally died. And so Sinead and I dragged it out of the house with much effort, and I was able to buy a used fridge, just a little small one, for 50 euros and move that into place. So it's not ideal. It's the summer. I like to eat ice cream, and so the ice cream storage capabilities are minimal, but that's okay. It's gonna see us through, and it's better than nothing, and it's much better than a broken fridge. So that was a small thing. The fridge was from nearby. Moving the fridge wasn't too much of a hassle, but it was a pretty major thing for general enjoyment of life to have a working fridge, so I thought I'd stick it on the list. Move sawdust to the garden. I have these garden paths that need sawdust. Right now they just have black fabric down, and I could go to the wood yard and collect sawdust bucket by bucket, carload by carload, but that would destroy my soul. But fortunately, Sinead insulated her deck with a mixture of sawdust and agricultural lime, and there was a bag down at her place with some remnants of sawdust. So I went down there, filled up a bunch of wheelbarrows, wheeled them up, dumped them on the path, and basically covered a little bit more of the path. I still need more, but we're gonna order another giant bag of sawdust when she puts in a wood order to extend her yurt deck, and I also need a few bits of wood as well. So getting that massive bag delivered all in one go up to my land is just gonna make it so much easier to cover these paths, and I'm excited to get that done, but we're still waiting on the wood order to come. So in the meantime, I moved it wheelbarrow by wheelbarrow, used what I had, and slowly I'm extending the paths. And the paths, by the way, with the sawdust on them have been amazing for keeping the weeds away. I had low expectations. Most people use wood chips on their path. I've never heard of anyone using sawdust really, but it's working for the most part when it doesn't blow away. Built up the front of the water tank. The tank behind me here was a long labor of love with many repairs, and when my dad came to do the deck on top of it, I still had a few more things to do, but he was anxious to get in there, so I held off on some of the repairs on the front, but I finally got to them this month, and it was really leaky before, but I think the repairs that I did to the front of the tank have actually stopped those leaks. So that's really great news. There's no longer a massive puddle in front of the tank, and the tank will hold more water as intended if it's not leaking out the front. So it was a challenging job to get under the deck and get it done, but it was kind of fun. It was nice to have a switch of pace back to bricklaying and rendering in this crazy heat, and it solved a problem of a leaky part of the tank as well. So that was a good one. I'm happy I got that done. Pointed the pool wall. I also did some pointing on the wall. I accidentally left a hose on, drained my entire tank, and I figured, well, since it's drained anyways, I might as well get in there and do some work in it. So I got some lime that I have laying around the place that I already had mixed up, and I did some pointing on a small section of the stone in the pool. I think it looks great. It's gonna look really amazing when the whole thing is done, but that's gonna be something I work on little by little. I also made a pool cover to cover the pool. I used pine poles from Sanchez Forest, stripped them down, put them into a frame, and then stapled on a sail, a shade sail that I had that was more or less the right size of the pool. Got it on there. It just about fits, and it's serving its purpose to protect the pool from the sun, so hopefully it gets a little less algae-y, and also to protect it from debris, creatures, leaves, lots of stuff just falling in there. So that's been on my list for a long time, and I'm happy I got it done. Same with this step for the deck. Previous to making a little step, all I had was a stone, and it was a very treacherous way to get on and off the deck, and so I made a longer sort of platform step. It's not finished, but it's gonna serve the purpose of safely accessing the deck while I think about what I want to do with the rest of the patio. So a small thing, but something that's going to be used very often and something that's really needed. Sinead and I went to Clayfest. It's a 1-week festival, sort of a festival, kind of a campsite, workshop, conference-y kind of thing with a party at the end. All to do with earthen building, so building with clay, and there was other stuff about hempcrete and straw bale, and lots of really interesting talks on a variety of topics related to earth building, sustainable building, and all of that fun stuff that Sinead and I are both passionately into. It was really great to meet other passionate people about this very specific topic. There's a lot of them out there. People love to geek out on this stuff, and I met lots of talented builders, engineers, architects, artists, and just other DIYers like myself and Sinead, who are very keen on the materials and love to use them. So it was great. It was great to connect with all these different people and it was just a really fun time. And this channel builds with natural materials. You're not going to see a lot of cement used on this channel. The exceptions are probably things where I need to hold water, like my swimming pool and my water tank, but given the chance, I'll use lime every time, and given more of a chance, I'll always try to use clay. The problem is I don't know where to find it yet. So we're hoping to find clay over on Sinead's land at some point. But my point is that if you are also a geek for natural materials, or you're just natural materials curious and want to learn more, you're gonna see a lot of them used on this channel on a lot of projects. Garden stuff. I pruned my cucumbers finally. They were getting out of control. Although somebody did mention that maybe pruning them isn't necessary because the leaves do provide ground cover, and I have to say the ones I pruned aren't looking as healthy now as the ones I didn't prune, so that could be a lesson for the future. I pulled loads of weeds. They were everywhere after getting back from Clayfest. They just had gone out of control. You've really got to stay on top of the weeds in this garden, and one way to do that is laying down some more geotextile fabric, and I'll eventually put the sawdust on top of that once I get the sawdust. But this fabric stuff, it's kind of like a felty material, and it's not cheap. I think it's about 25 euros for a 20 meter by 1 meter roll, but it's amazing. Stick it down in the ground, cover it up with something. It'll eventually biodegrade into the earth, but until it does, it really does keep the weeds at bay, and it's been a lifesaver. Harvesting and processing. This is the time of year where the craziness starts in the garden, where all the tomatoes start to be ready. Cucumbers have been getting ready for a couple of weeks now. Jalapenos, they're on the rise, and so I pickled up some cucumbers. I made, I think, about 16 jars of pickles with vinegar and lots of spices, and they're really yummy. And the pickled jalapenos, they're my thing. That's my product that I make the most. That's what people around these parts know me for, and I sell the jars of jalapenos to some small businesses in the area, and I also trade them for things and give them to friends as gifts or sell them to friends as well. So I really ramped up the jalapeno plant operation this year. I got the extra greenhouse to be able to overwinter those plants, and I'm hoping jalapenos are a nice little side hustle for me to supplement my income. And it's nice to see the first jalapenos appear, and it was fun to jar those up. And it was good timing as well because I've actually run out of my personal supply of jalapenos, so it was nice to get more of those into my life and have some of the spicy goodness going on to my pizzas and Mexican food and just munching on them because they're super delicious. And speaking of the garden polytunnel, which will house my future jalapeno operation, I finally tidied it up. I moved everything that had been lurking around outside the tunnel and in the grass on my land on the third terrace, and I organized it and got it into the polytunnel, stored nicely away, out of sight. So that was good. All that stuff had been staring at me for the longest time, and it's just nice to feel organized. I still haven't done the upper terrace one, but I'm hoping to do that very soon. Though I've been saying that for a long time, so maybe I can't be trusted, I don't know. But it really is hard working when I can't find everything that I need. Worked inside on the clay walls. I have a few walls in the house in varying stages of completeness, and I was inspired by Clayfest. I did a plastering course there and an earth and floor course, but the plastering course inspired me to push on with the final layer of one of the walls and just get it all finished off. And the mix wasn't ideal. There's stones in it, there's stones in the clay, there's stones in the sand. Possibly should have used a finer sand, but I got it on the wall to kind of a dubious standard and etched out all of the bottles so that they were more defined and cleaned them off. And then Sinead came to the rescue. She's a far more talented plasterer than I am. She did an amazing job. I was going to smooth the wall out with a trowel. She decided to go at it with a sponge and give it a more rustic finish, but it's a great way to get rid of all the little cracks and smooth everything out, make everything not necessarily flat, but a little bit less undulating and cracky, and yeah, it just makes everything look so much better. So I'm happy she had that idea, and I'm very happy she got to work on this with me. So we put on some music, danced around, did some work, and it was a really nice way to spend the evening. It was really hot in the house, but we had some fun, and she got the front wall done, and I pushed on a little bit more with the back wall, and most importantly, got rid of the clay that was in the wheelbarrow and got it out of my way. Made Sinead's yurt video. So I didn't do very much work on the yurt. I popped in here and there and did some sanding, but for the most part, my work on this thing was filming. I wanted to capture the whole process just for Sinead to have a nice little keepsake of the build, and also for Damien and Carl to have a reminder of the work that they've done, and just to be able to show people and showcase their work as well. So I was constantly up and down filming that, and I had loads of footage, and making the video was no joke. It wasn't the usual type of video. It was sort of a separate little project, and it was very time consuming, but it was really, really fun. I think the video is super joyful. She's very excited, and I'm so happy to be able to have made this thing, to give it to all these guys, and they can kind of relive the yurt building experience far into the future, share it around, and yeah, it was really enjoyable. So I got the video done, and I feel like perhaps in the future I might like to make more sorts of videos for stuff that Sinead's working on, maybe bigger projects, possibly her house build. I won't be working on it all the time, but popping down, filming what the builders are doing, filming what she's up to, and then compiling it into something later on. So it was an enjoyable experience, and people seem to really like that video, so it could be something I do in the future. And I just snuck it in here at the bottom because I completely forgot. I went to a local festa in a nearby village, met up with some friends, and it was, I dare say, quite ridiculous. The music was, you know, interesting. A lot of accordion, a lot of keyboard, a lot of shouting into the microphone, but everybody was into it. It was really fun. There was line dancing, there was people snaking around the place, there was food stalls, there was a raffle of very strange things, and it was just full of character and loads of fun. But the best part, the main event, was the greasy pole climb, where a whole bunch of local people gathered together on teams and basically try to get up to the top of a greasy pole to grab a ham. Eventually this year they gave up, so nobody got the ham, as far as I could tell. But I didn't stay all night, so perhaps they had another attempt later on. But I gotta say, these local festivals are really fun. I met up with a load of friends that I know from the area, and it's just a family affair. There's lots of kids around, lots of families, lots of local people I know, and everybody's just in the spirit of things, and it was really, really nice, and I'm glad I attended. And I will be back next year to watch the greasy pole efforts and soak up some local culture and a great atmosphere. And another thing I forgot to put on the list, but I snuck it in, is bottling the wine. So we picked the grapes in September, we bottled the first batch in February, and the second round of bottling was probably supposed to happen a month or two ago, but Lawrence, the winemaker, was busy, so we got to it this past weekend, and it was loads of fun. We basically just filled our bottles and then enjoyed spending some time together. We all brought a dish, we enjoyed a really nice barbecue. He cooked up some stuff from his land. I brought some plum sauce, which was a hit, and it's just nice to share a meal together with some friends, bottle the wine, take home a nice product, and yeah, it's just a fun time. So I have some sad news for this year, and I'm not sure wine is gonna happen, so that's disappointing. But rather than explaining it to you, let's just go over there and I'll show you what's up, because it's not looking good for the old grapes this year. So I was really excited about the state of my grapes. I have loads of them on the go. This vine has never really produced anything for me, and they were everywhere. They were in here, all over the place. You can see quite a few up there. Some of them that look nice and juicy, some of them that look pretty raisiny. But the grapes seem to have matured early or something, and now in the sun and the heat, they're all turning into raisins. So this is what they look like over at Sanchez's place, and this is what they look like at Lawrence's place, and anyone else I know that has grapes, this seems to be the state of affairs. So I don't know if we were supposed to pick them a while ago and just make juice or what. They taste okay, but they're well on their way out. So I have no idea what's going on. I don't know if the weather was so weird this year with all of the rains that it just made everything go a bit crazy. but I think we've missed the opportunity to pick these grapes while juicy. And I don't think raisins make very good wine. These are super brittle, super hard. No sign of juice left in them, so that's incredibly disappointing. But I guess that's just the nature of things. Sometimes you have a great harvest, sometimes you don't. I think the most disappointing thing is that I was convinced that we were gonna have a bumper crop this year, and I guess I never really took into consideration that all the grapes looked ready in June, and generally you don't pick until September, so I don't know what's going on. If anyone out there who knows anything about grapes has any idea what's happening, why this has happened, whether there's gonna be maybe a second crop of grapes coming before September, because it looks like in my house I've got some baby grapes on the way on that vine, and the ones that grew last month have all shriveled up. So I'm confused, but it doesn't seem like the way things are going now, we're gonna be making wine this year. So I enjoyed the bottling of the wine last weekend, but who knows if it's gonna happen again this year or not. So I'll keep you updated on that. August goals, finish the shed foundation. I'm working on it in the mornings. I wanna get this thing completely done. Weather's gonna be a challenge. Like I said, we've got some 40-degree weeks coming up, but if I get up early enough, I can get it done little by little, and I feel confident I can finish this thing. Start the window. I'm gonna do something. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I have no idea. It might just be work inside the house, putting the lintel in on the inside. It might be breaking up some stones. I don't really know, but I'm gonna do something to push forward on the window because I've been talking about this thing for ages. And if I don't just get going on it, it's gonna be one of these legendary projects that never happens, and I'm gonna be living in the cave until the end of time. And even my camera has had enough of me talking about the window project and not doing anything about it. It just took a tumble off of the tripod in protest. And the neighbors, the tractor guy, he's making some noise. He's fed up as well. So I'm gonna just get on with this window thing and do some small things and just take some baby steps towards getting this project done. And because it's the summer, I've got lots of stuff coming good in the garden, and I'm gonna be spending a lot of time processing stuff, picking stuff, turning it into sauces, and then doing the water bath canning method as well to preserve it, to make it shelf stable. So that's a lot of work, but it's worth it once I have a big stack of food that I can eat throughout the rest of the year. So that's my July recap, and now the church is going, the tractor's going. It's all happening here. I hope you can hear me. I'm just gonna keep talking over all this stuff and just get this done. July was a great month. It was really fun. I did a whole bunch of different things. I traveled. I got a lot of stuff done. Sinead got a house. I hope you enjoyed the recap. If you did, please give the video a like, share it around, subscribe, all that stuff. And also, if you have any questions about anything along the way, or if you just wanna say hello, please do leave me a comment below. I love hearing from people, and I always reply. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tomorrow, which is gonna be the beginnings of my question and answer videos, which I'm gonna do in a short series. So tomorrow's video is gonna be about building questions, and I'm gonna do a little building as well at the same time. So, I'll see you in the next video out tomorrow.